So this is what actual strategic organization development looks like. It's the application of management by objectives. Again, going back to Drucker, I'm a big Drucker fan. If you go back and read his Essentials of Drucker, looking at how to set objectives for the main areas: innovative, marketing, productivity, employee. Basically, this ties all those objectives back into it. We all basically focus on key metrics, the quality system. Many of our organizations are large enough that we have metrics in place for everybody, service level agreements. We have quality systems. We have a Six Sigma process. If not, we have some kind of quality process. We have a tie back to ISO procedures, processes, audits. Now, where we begin to fall down is in the blue environment across. And this looks a little dark to me, so I apologize for that. But if the employee analysis slide may be a little bit dark, so hopefully you all can read it. And on the employee is where we begin to fall down. We don't necessarily survey the employee. We do not necessarily. The employee is actually what deals with the customer behind the scenes. So we want to make sure we have happy employees. We want to make sure we have tenured employees. Tenured employees are typically employees that know more about the customer and know about how they work with everybody. At the same time, you want to have the optimal amount of employees. You don't want to just throw employees at processes. You want to have employees that are optimized, basically looking at their strengths. There's a great book out called Discover Your Strengths Now that is put out by the Gallup poll. I love that book. The reason for it is most personality tests can be skewed. This is actually the Gallup poll survey actually asks you about 100 questions in about 20 seconds. And it asks you, do you care what people think? Do you not care what people think? And what that does is actually come up with your top 5 strengths. And if you find people's top 5 strengths, you can set the job up to where they're highly motivated and they're doing things that fit their skills. The one thing that I found in a lot of my research is that employees hire into the position that's open, not the position that fits them. So if you focus on employees, if you want to make an optimized workforce that is lean workforce and get people to be at the best of their skills with less people, get them to do more, you need to do something like this Gallup poll where this book, Discover Your Strengths Now, takes your strengths and then you create the jobs around that. And I do that quite a bit. That's through, I spend a lot of time downsizing areas, and that's what I focus on, is taking their strengths and molding the jobs around their strengths to create highly motivated employees who actually have a sense of accomplishment in their job because they own the process. Rather than having 30 people doing a job, I many times can roll it down to half the department usually. So those are very key, but at the same time as you do that, as you're rolling the organization down, you're not necessarily taking those people that don't fit in that job and laying them off. You're actually looking at what other jobs can they fit or what other jobs can they work in. And if they actually don't fit in the company, then you work with them to find other employment outside the company. Ultimately trying to avoid a layoff, but if you have to go through a layoff, that's what business is about. The next piece that we're not totally, most companies do but don't do fully is customer analysis. A lot of us have customer experience programs. We do some sort of surveying, but we don't do much analysis or become predictive as to the customer as to what's happening. Ultimately, what you want is your customer surveying and your customer loyalty and analysis and all your data and your employee data ultimately to feed back to your quality system for customer complaints, corrective actions, in order to have a closed loop process. That's what this whole thing is about. This is an automated tracking system that actually is a closed loop process that can be watched from the CEO all the way down to the lowest employee, all the way back up again. And that's what's really cool about the strategic organization development methodology. We don't have time to go into how to implement this, but in future presentations we'll definitely go in how to implement this and how to become predictive. Performance dashboards are the piece that are key to the organization to go after and look for where that inertia is taking place. So if you have an area that's in blue, but then underneath it, the blue is actually made up of a green, a yellow, and a red, you know that that red piece is what you have to go after. And even though they're showing that the blue, that they're performing above their expectations, there could be a problem in the future that if we don't start working on it now, we're going to end up losing that blue, possibly going to green, and possibly going into a danger color of red. So when we're looking at performance dashboards, we want to look at what management areas are doing well, what business units are doing well, and tie it all the way down. And ideally, the most wonderful thing about performance dashboards, most of us have this in-house now, that we can actually build these things ourselves. is that then the CEO can sit in a board meeting with the presidents, and rather than the presidents coming in and saying, my organization's working great, and then the CFO and the CEO are saying, but wait, your financials are off, the dashboards pop up and can show you exactly where the problems are, and then the presidents come in with action plans. And it isn't a surprise to the presidents. It isn't a surprise to their next level direct reports in the president's meetings or in the next level executive meetings, because everybody in the company knows where the organization is. And that is the cool thing about performance dashboards. And this is where the future is on performance dashboards. And that's what strategic organization development is basically focused on, is management by objectives, by creating visual systems that are easy to implement within any organization. And then ultimately, we got to keep those customers. So even though we're doing the customer analysis, we got to have a way to tell the customers how well we're doing. That's an automated process. That's not an administrative nightmare. A lot of us have Excel spreadsheets taking all the customer data and then sending it out to the customer with all these nice little graphs. But there's someone behind there running those. We actually need it where it's automated and pulls out and provides the customer. The sales team can go out and get it. Field management can go out and get it. Or it automatically generates to the customer that tells the customer how well are we doing with them, so that when it comes to that point in time where the lease expires or we're having to redo lease negotiations or trying to sell the customer something new, we can tell them the history of how well have we done to satisfy your needs. But we also need predictive models to sit there and tell us when we're having a problem with customers, or begin to watch customers and whether they're going to buy or not. If you have a customer that over here on customer analysis and customer loyalty surveying is constantly showing you negative and they're upset about the billing, well, what have we done about that? The problem is our organizations don't talk to each other. That if I'm in one organization doing surveying and I see that we have a problem, the organizations aren't tied together to where we're talking, the collaboration code. We're not talking enough that if I have a problem in one area with billing, I can't go to the billing department and say, here, fix this, and then track it back, because I am in my silo of whatever business unit I belong to. So we really need to tie the organizations together with the collaboration code, get departments talking in order to build this predictive model. And what we're talking about is taking this whole thing and automating it as part of the strategic organization development methodology based on Drucker's management by objective that now allows organizations to manage themselves as they become a commodity business, or to become predictive so that you don't become a commodity business.